on the block and restore that. We're also using reclaimed material, which, just reusing stuff. We don't have to rebuy stuff. There are a lot of secondhand shops for houses, and we want to do that as much as we can. We also want to reuse some of the things that are already in the home. We're also doing community engagement. We're going to have a workshop we're always going to community meetings in Central City, but we're going to have a workshop to specifically explain to people what we're doing and how they can use some of the principles in their own homes. And eventually, once we get grant money, we want to enable people to implement some of the things that we're doing. Not just telling them, oh, okay, here's what you can do, but here's the startup kit for you to do it. And we'll come back to make sure that you are doing it. And if not, giving us some feedback on how we can improve our measures. And at the end, the final thing is transitional case management. We really want this to be transitional housing, 30 to 60 days, and doing some case management with some other nonprofits that are going to be helping them find more permanent job options and permanent housing options. So that is our product. And now some of the challenges. The challenges are, it's overwhelming. I'm not going to dwell on it as much because I really don't want you guys to focus on that, because I'm sure you guys already know when you're designing something, it's always a challenge, and when you're trying to have someone buy it, which is, what we're doing, that's definitely a challenge. So post-Katrina life changes. That's the huge thing. People are skeptical now, they're cynical, they don't want, they're like, how are you any different from global greening, or how are you any different from Make It Right, or, how are you going to actually change things, or are you even going to stay here? And, there's so many different things with so many people coming down, and people feel used. And, I work in the Lower Ninth Ward, and they bring these tours. I'm not sure if any of you guys have gone to New Orleans after Katrina. Has anyone? One person. Okay. So they have these Katrina bus tours where you can pay someone and you get on a bus and they take you through all the worst hit areas. And this one woman had a sign if you're going to tour, at least stop and, ask me what's going on. Something like that. Because it's how are you going to just ride around and just wave to us and we're struggling and, you're going to go back, to wherever you came from and say, oh my God, wow, New Orleans, and you might donate to the Red Cross, and think that trickled down to whoever that was, when in turn you can just help. So one thing the Lower Ninth Ward and the Holy Cross Neighborhood Association is going to do is say, you know what? All these people come through town, they come on these buses, we see them all the time, they never stop, and, they think they're doing good, which is, it's okay. But what we're going to do is we're going to have our own tour, and we're going to have our own buses. And we'll bus people through. We'll give them tours of all the people who live in this neighborhood, and all the proceeds will go to us. They're not going to whoever that is uptown, and they come down here, once in a blue moon. And so I thought that was a really creative idea to stimulate some type of economic development. It's if you're going to tour, we might as well benefit from it. So that's one thing that people taking a challenge and making it positive, which we have to do all the time. Translating the architectural theory into practice is one of the largest challenges I've ever experienced, because, all these different architects, they have all these theories and all these designs, and you really want to implement it, but sometimes it's just not cost effective. Sometimes it's just not feasible. Sometimes it's just not as efficient as they had hoped it to be. And that's really a challenge, because sometimes they don't want to hear that. They really think that what they designed is best. And, they don't understand why it's not taking, or why it's not working the way that it did. There's not a dialogue between, outside of their world. It seems sometimes that when I meet with them, they're just together, and they don't really come out to the community. They definitely don't do that. They don't even work with nonprofits who might even come out to the community to even translate that. So I'm always dealing with that, because it's they do want to do good, and they want to design these really nice things, but they're not really talking to the people who are going to live in it. And so I think that link is missing there, and it's something challenging, because I want to put all of the new stuff in the home. And I'm learning that it's not taking. And then the contractors do the work. It's not the architect. They're not going to come out there and make sure that they're doing it the way that they designed it to be. They're just kind of leaving it open, and the contractor has the ultimate say. And if he doesn't understand why he's doing that, then he's not going to do it. So we're trying to, I mean, that's something big in New Orleans right now, is creating a contractor's workshop or whatever where they do more dialogues with the architect so that when they do go to the homes, they can say, this is what we're doing, this is why, and I'm going to do it that way. So, yeah, that goes into point number 3, is relationships and communications between the planner, the designer, the contractor, and the consumer. Everyone has to be on the same page, and everyone needs to talk about the page that they're on. And then the 4th one is staying empowered and motivated, college versus the real world, which is what you guys are in right now. And yesterday when I had a chance to talk to a few of the groups, I noticed that, you know, you were really taking this whole thing seriously, and I really don't want you to lose that, because you can get jaded by the real world. You know, it's really hard, especially if you do decide to go on and have your own business, or you decide to, you know, do some freelancing or whatever. You really should stay motivated, and it is hard. So stay around a positive group of people and know that, you know, you really can make a difference. That sounds really cliche, but it is really true. And, you know, you guys have that energy and you're like, wow, we can do this, and just always keep that, because I see a lot of my friends after we graduated, you know, and I went to grad school and they went to the real world, it just became, you know, stuck in their cube and stuck in that box and saying, like, you know, well, I guess this is it, but, you know, it's really not, especially for people who want it to be more. So that's my little Oprah moment. Anyway, so here's one thing I wanted to share with you guys about some of these designs that the Make It Right is specifically coming up with to put in the Lunar board. That when I went to the function, which was really nice, by the way, and Brad Pitt was there, and Jerry Lewis was there, and there were like all the nonprofits were there. Very little community members. I mean, I don't live in the Lower Ninth Ward, but I was there, and it was very roped off, and nobody really knew. Some of the community members would drive by and like, what's going on over there? And we're like, oh, you know, it's the Make It Right thing. Brad Pitt is out here, and they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, you know, you guys should come by anyway. So as we were walking through the different designs, me and my business partner, we were like, oh my God, are they really getting serious about some of these things? Like, New Orleans is very historical, and it's not. It's more like 60s style, 70s style homes, and some of the things I thought were far-fetched, and here's some of them, which my favorite one is this one. Because when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, it looks like a tree fell on it from the storm. She just like picked it up and said, oh, this is our new house. I was like, are you kidding me? Did the people roll down to the middle? I mean, I was like, I was like, oh my God. And then they opened it up, which is this thing. Yeah, I think this one right here. They opened a little model up, and the way it was built, I was like, okay, all right, I guess so. Someone would pay like $130,000 for that. I'm not sure. I think that's the price, but it just doesn't fit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just taking that, you know, sometimes I'm like, wow, are these just a bunch of people's like final, you know, projects or something? Like, it's just like, let's just shoot for the stars, and it's New Orleans. They don't have anything anyway. They ought to be glad that we're doing something, and we'll just do anything. So, I mean, I don't know. It felt kind of laughable, and I do have traditional like homes, so you can see that they do stand out. Mind you, you know, these are some of the extreme ones, but I don't know. What's your guys' opinions about this? Like, how many people would buy a house like that?